Hey you! Are you thinking about starting a gluten-free diet? Don't! Until you get tested for celiac disease. In this video, I'll cover the super important reasons why you should get a diagnosis before going gluten-free. Now, you may be thinking, come on, I think I would know if I was celiac. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I can't tell you how many times I've had a conversation with someone that tells me that they're gluten-free, but that they haven't been tested for celiac disease. Or they say something to me like, yeah, I'm probably celiac, and then never get tested. People have this idea that everyone with celiac disease gets this crazy, severe reaction when they eat gluten. And a lot of us do. But what most people don't realize is that that reaction only starts happening because we've been on a gluten-free diet for a while. Example, I used to eat a lot of meals that looked like this. And this. Sometimes even this. Bonk. I'd have some pretty intense bloating that night, but the next day I'd be fine. Now, I only knew one person with celiac disease before my diagnosis. I heard that she ate a bowl of pasta once that had one single gluten noodle, a gloodle, and she ended up in the hospital. So I thought, if people with celiac disease can't eat a single gloodle without going to the hospital, how could I have a beer and a burger and onion rings plus dessert and survive? I was confident there was no way I could have celiac. Also, if I'm honest, I didn't want to have a disease that would stop me from eating bread. And I think this is what leads people, like myself, to not get tested. Also, there's a lot of doctors that don't seem to know about it. Let me just say, if you have digestive issues or symptoms similar to celiac, you may not have it. But it is crucial that you get tested before you start a gluten-free diet. The information in this video is sourced from the Celiac Disease Foundation. For more information, check them out at celiac.org. I've also included some really helpful links in the description, both on this subject and their symptoms assessment tool, so be sure to check those out. Also, I'm not a doctor, and this is not medical advice. So, drum roll please. Here's why you should get tested for celiac disease before going gluten-free. Testing will be much harder later on. Here's the thing. In order for a celiac disease test to be accurate, you have to be eating gluten at the time of the testing. So if you've already started a strict gluten-free diet, you're gonna have to start eating gluten again before the test, like several pieces of bread a day. So if you actually are celiac, you're not gonna feel good. For most people with celiac, once they're on a gluten-free diet for a while, it makes the reaction to gluten significantly more intense. When I used to eat gluten, I'd get bloated or some pain in my gut, but now I toss my cookies and I feel off for days. If I had to eat bread every day now, no. You need to know how strict you have to be. If you eat gluten-free but don't think that you're celiac, you're gonna be far less likely to stick to a strict gluten-free diet or to care about things like cross-contamination. But if you actually have celiac disease, every time you have that croissant on the weekends or you eat your contaminated oats for breakfast, you're damaging your gut and triggering an autoimmune response. It can take 1 to 2 years of absolutely no gluten to heal your gut completely. So having a little bit here and there is preventing you from getting better and will put you at higher risk for developing other diseases. Which is my next point. There's an increased risk of developing other diseases. This is one of the most important reasons, in my opinion. Undiagnosed celiac disease can lead to the development of other autoimmune diseases and conditions that are often far more severe than celiac disease itself. These can range from type 1 diabetes to MS, anemia, infertility and miscarriage, neurological conditions, heart disease, intestinal cancers, and many, many more. Getting a celiac diagnosis and sticking to a strict gluten-free diet will reduce your chance of developing those conditions, and the earlier you get diagnosed, the lower your risk is. So if you're thinking, I'll enjoy eating McDonald's in my 20s and then, future me can deal with that celiac thing, future you will be mad at present you. Just do it now. It's genetic. Celiac disease is genetic. And if you have a family member who has it, you have a 1 in 10 chance of developing it. So getting a celiac diagnosis lets people know if they can pass it on to their children or if other family members should get tested. If you're thinking, whew, no one in my family has it, it can't be celiac, not so fast. If you watched my What is Celiac Disease video, then you would remember that it's estimated that 80% of the celiac population is undiagnosed. Case in point, my family. I got diagnosed, then my whole family got tested, and my dad has it. Plot twist! Creating a care plan. Most people who get a celiac diagnosis have some other health issues they're addressing. Getting a formal diagnosis can help you set up a care plan with your doctor to ensure that all of your symptoms get treated. This includes things like follow-up blood tests, meeting with a dietitian, monitoring intestinal healing, and watching out for other related conditions. I will say though, in my personal experience, this is where the health system needs improvement. The doctors that I dealt with didn't give me any resources. I wasn't recommended a dietitian, even though I asked. I wasn't given the official report of my diagnosis until a year later, after I asked for it, and when I read the report, it said I should have a follow-up blood test a year later, which nobody told me about. As I mentioned in my celiac diagnosis video, the doctor literally just said, "Say goodbye to bread," and walked out of the room.
Say goodbye to bread.
A formal diagnosis can help you get resources. These may vary depending on the country that you live in, but for example, in the US and Canada, you can claim gluten-free food as a health expense and get a tax benefit, but only if you have a formal diagnosis of celiac disease. There may also be certain protections or rights when it comes to being offered gluten-free options. For example, in the US, celiac disease is covered under the American Disabilities Act, which means that federally funded schools are required to offer gluten-free options to students with celiac disease. Also, they're doing a lot of research right now trying to develop a celiac disease drug, which you would only get access to if you had a formal diagnosis. And it would also help to advance research because it's important for researchers to know how many people actually have celiac disease. All of these will help patients get resources. It isn't necessarily healthier to go gluten-free. There are two major misconceptions about a gluten-free diet. One, that it's healthier, and two, that it will help you lose weight. That's not true for lots of different reasons, but pre-packaged gluten-free foods often are very high in starch and sugars and low in protein, fiber, and other nutrients. Heck, when I started a gluten-free diet, I think I ate more junk food. Gluten-free cookies, donuts, cinnamon rolls. Can I have one of everything? I felt so limited in my food choices that if there was a new product I hadn't tried yet, I'd have to get it. Bottom line, you should only go gluten-free if you have to for medical reasons. If you don't have to be buying $8 loaves of bread, don't. You'll know for sure it's not celiac. Ruling out celiac disease can help you discover the real cause of your symptoms. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but I do want to add a quick little note about celiac testing. Even if you have a negative blood test result for celiac disease, if you have digestive or malabsorption issues, it may be a good idea to get an endoscopy done anyway. First, because the blood test can sometimes show a false negative, but also because it's been shown that even non-celiac wheat sensitivity can cause intestinal damage. Here's a little science for you. Quote, in July 2016, researchers at Columbia University Medical Center published a study confirming that wheat exposure in this group is in fact triggering a systemic immune reaction and accompanying intestinal cell damage. Most people don't know this. I thought it was just celiac people. So even if the celiac disease test comes back negative, at least you'll know if there's intestinal damage, and if there is, you can treat it and treat it seriously. And if your intestines look happy, congratulations. What's it like? So there you have it, the reasons why you should get tested for celiac disease before going gluten-free. If you want more information on this topic, I highly recommend you check out my links below from the Celiac Disease Foundation. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Plot twist!